Hi, Walter Gandit here, and it's day 4 of making a greenwood bow. And it rained last night, so everything is soaked. I've got my teepee fire set up. What I did is I collected some dry pine needles from underneath the base of a pine tree where it didn't get wet, and I chose standing dead wood and branches that were head height and above. As you can see, things are damp. Fire's not taking off quite as quickly, and I got more smoke, so I'm going to give it a little bit of oxygen. Give it a little more air. What I want is a fire with no smoke. I want flame, I don't want smoke. What I'm going to do is I've heated this center part of my bow up. I'm going to put a little torque to it and get a little bit of a banana out of my upper limb. I'm going to put it between a fork and 2 small saplings right here, and that's going to be where my leverage point comes from. And I will take it and tie it to another tree and hold it there. Look down and make sure I'm bending it the right way. Set it right in here. Pull it over. Pull it. Take my cord. Lash it around it. Tie this off with a clove hitch. It's easy to undo knot. I'm pulling this a little bit further than what it has to go. I have to go further than what I actually want it to go, because it's going to spring back halfway. So leave this pulled over like this until it completely cools. Yep, good. Okay, let that sit there for about 5 minutes. Here's my bow tied to the tree, and it goes between those two, the fork and the 2 saplings right there. Continues out the other side. Where I wanted it to bend is right here in my handle, so that's the part that I put the torque on. Okay, I've dried the bow in the fire for about an hour this morning. This is day 4, and what I've done is I've just lightly scraped the back just so I can see what everything looks like. And right here you can see there's some chatter marks. I'm gonna have to sand them out. There was a little bump there, and it chattered over that. And right here, this little mark runs to the outside edge. That's got to go. That's a potential for my bow to crack and break right there. The chatter marks, that's a potential too, but it's not nearly so much. We've got some other chatter marks right down here, a couple of here. They're just going to get sanded out. The other limb there's a couple of chatter marks on it, but it's pretty good all the way down. So what I basically have to do now is just sand the bow, the back of the bow, and that will be finished. And then I'll go on and I'll finish the belly, and we'll start tillering it, and I'll show you how to tiller. It's the end of the bow making video. My top limb, I've scraped it pretty much all the way to the handle to get it to bend to match this one. I had some major problems here with the wound or scar, whatever happened inside the tree when it was real little, so I don't have the heavy poundage that I'd like. It's always going to be about 25 pounds. It's not a perfect. You can see there's got a little bumps and stuff in it. This is just the nature of the bow. You're not going to cut these bumps off, or you created a weak spot. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the final firing on it. I've put the string on it. They're bending pretty close to even, and I'm going to fire it and do the final dry, and then I'm going to pull it to full draw, and it should be a finished bow. Checking the limbs, making sure they're not getting too hot. Cutting in the nocks on your bow. You have right here, you cut it in straight. It's about 1 finger down from the tip is where I carve them. This would be the tip of my bow. Here's my nock, about one finger down from the top. It carves in, goes on a slight angle, but it carves in straight. The whole thing goes in straight. Don't carve it upside down, it'll be shortening your bow. If you carve it so it comes this direction, cut it right in straight. Just you can do it straight across if you want to, but a little bit of an angle, it puts less strain on your string. Come around, do the same thing on the other side, and I thinned out my tip so that there's not so much weight there. When you're shooting your bow, 4 grams of weight at the tip of your bow equals 1 foot per second of the speed. So I'm gonna, so you can see where this belly's out a little bit. I'll be carving all that off. Carved in here, and put the bowstring on. And that's what I'm gonna do next. Is I'm gonna put the bowstring on there. I'm gonna check it for length on the bow, and string the bow lightly, not real heavily, but string it lightly so I can see how the limbs are bending. Okay, before I string my bow, I'm checking it all the way down, see if there's any flaws in it. It's on the back side. This is the side that's going to crack if there's a flaw in it. It all looks pretty good. I'm checking it for pretty much even thickness, and just lightly bend the limbs. See what I got. Okay, look, that looks like it's bending pretty even. And check the other limb. Same thing. Before I put the string on it, see this one's, I can feel this one is a little bit stiffer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrape this a little bit right in here before I even put the string on, because it's a little stiffer than the other limb. But they're both about the same thickness, but sometimes the wood is just a little bit different. This has got a little bit of a decurve in it, and that may be the reason why it's not bending quite as much. I'll thin this, just maybe 20 strokes of scraping it. One of the things that I'll do is I'll grasp the end of each one of my limbs, put the handle right on my knee, and just flex them, bend them, pull them back on the same pressure on each limb. It'll give me a good idea of what I have and how the limbs are bending. They're bending fairly symmetrically. There's one staying totally straight and the other one is bending. That's not going to work. So, but no, both these are bending about the same, and that's what I'm looking for. Okay, what I've done is I adjusted this timber hitch knot about a ½ inch tighter. That's all that it takes to go from down at the bottom of my thumb to right to the center of my thumb. That's about, true fistamill is considered right to the top of your thumb. I like it a little bit below that for myself. Gives a little bit more snap to the bow when you shoot it. So what I have is the bow is strung, ready to shoot. And I will step back just a little bit, and I'll draw it. There's 3/4 draw. You hear? I shoot with a slightly broken elbow. That's just my style. Some people like it locked straight out. I don't shoot that way. My elbow is a shock absorber when I shoot. So right here's the 3/4. I pull it right to the corner of my mouth. I'll exercise it a little bit. Everything seems to be all right. Put my foot on the bow. I'll pull it and look at it. They look like they're bending pretty even. Looks like no problem. I should be able to go to full draw. There we go. Exercise a little bit. Or full draw. Hat's catching. Feel my hat's catching. Here's full draw. Right to the corner of my mouth. No problems. Looks like the bow's finished and ready to shoot. One thing I need is some arrows. So I guess I have to teach you how to make some arrows. I'll see you later. Okay, here's the finished bow. It's got a nice even bend to each one of the limbs. This is just about a fistamill. And what I've done in another video, I'll show you how to make calipers to measure the thickness of your bow. I don't use that, but for a first timer, that's what I would suggest that you do. Now, the draw starts here. Pull it up, and there it is at full draw. A little bit closer. It's got a nice even bend. Finish your bow. What I would recommend is use an animal grease. You can put a spar varnish on or something like that if you want to have it nice and shiny. I generally make my bows to be a hunting bow. I use grease. You can use vegetable oil if you're vegetarian, it doesn't matter. Vegetable oil will work fine. You have to seal the wood. The moisture is just in the air all around this. So what you want to do is you want to rub grease on here. Bear grease is my favorite, but you're probably not going to be able to get that bear grease will really penetrate. What you're going to do is you're going to rub the grease in, rub it in by hand so it's really well rubbed in. And what I have is shea butter, rubs right in. The animals don't, if you have pets, you don't want to use animal grease because they're going to chew your bow all to pieces. So you want to use something that isn't going to be yummy to them. And so I'm using shea butter. I'm just rubbing it in. And then what I'll use is the heat of the fire to drive this in a little bit. Not much, just if you heat it up too much and you try rubbing that grease in, it sticks right to you and it burns you. So don't you just want to warm it enough that the wood is the cell structure on the wood opens up so that the grease will penetrate a little bit better. And that's it. This is it. You're greasing your bow, you're finished, ready to shoot. Next videos I'm going to have to make is to show you how to make some arrows because you can't shoot a bow without arrows. Thanks for watching.